couple of announcements. We got some lost and found stuff here, CDs that people left last night, if you're missing a CD. Also, we are still going to try to do the recognition of Patty G up at the lake. Weather permitting, we'll see after the speaker where we're at with that. The speaker has asked that Sharon and Beverly from Bluefield, West Virginia, introduce her.
No, Fendon, you go first.
Oh, yeah. I'm Beverly, I'm an addict.
Hi, Beverly.
Well, Thelma is my sister-in-law. And I'm Beverly, I'm an addict. He said who I was. Anyway, Thelma's my sister-in-law. And we have been privileged to travel this journey of recovery together for quite some time. She stuck, I didn't. But anyway, that's my sister-in-law. She's a wonderful person, and I love her. And I'll let Sharon tell you about her now. I'm Sharon, and I'm an addict. Hi, everybody. And I thought I'd share about 30 minutes to cut down her time a little bit. But, how'd you get here? Yeah, I got here by. Yeah. Anyway, I've known Thelma since 1987. We didn't get along real well in 1987. But through the process of recovery from 1995 to now, excuse me, Shane. Don't pay no attention to him. When I was clean a month, and me and Beverly drove her to treatment. And that was such a spiritual thing, you know. I was clean a month and helping somebody else, you know. And anyway, our relationship has really evolved over the years. She, too, is my sister-in-law. She was my sister's partner. And it took me a while to gain acceptance of that, but that's a huge part. I mean, she's part of our family regardless. And we've traveled this journey together, too. And I'm real grateful that even though we didn't stick, we're still here today, and that's what counts. And that we're all together. Me and Thelma's been through a whole lot together the past couple of years. She really helped me out through an illness I had and trying to stay clean and getting clean again. And she's just a real blessing in my recovery. And she's got the coolest basset hound in the world. And with that, I'll give you Thelma F.
Hi, everybody. My name's Thelma, and I'm an addict. Hi, family. First of all, it's truly a miracle to be up here and to see all you addicts in here and to love you, even though I don't know you. I don't know all of you. I know some of you. I'd like to dedicate this to Sharon and Beverly's and Becky's mom, who died in January of 2007, my partner, and to Patty, who died Friday. Because they are here, and people that are not here anymore still affect our recovery. So it just feels right to dedicate this to them. I'd also like to say Happy Mother's Day to the mothers and to the mothers who don't have their children, and to those who don't have their mother anymore. So Happy Mother's Day. Thank you. I often wonder how much I have to do to qualify myself as I come up here, and this is my experience, strength, and hope. And some of the things that I share about are probably my opinion. So hopefully it'll come out the way that my higher power wants it to, and I'll get out of the way. But keep in mind, this is my experience, strength, and hope. So if I step on anybody's toes with things that I share, I hope I don't. But I got clean for the last time, and hopefully the last time. I know it's just for today, on September 19th, 1995. I think that it's very important to say that. I used to have a sense of false pride and false humility and think you weren't supposed to share your clean date and you weren't supposed to build yourself up. But I think today, as I go through the process of recovery, it's a celebration, and that we need to let each other know that just for today, we can get some days together and we can get some recovery together. So I try to share that, and for me and also for you all. The reason that I'm here is because I've been told that when they ask you to share, you're supposed to do it. And the reason that you're supposed to do it is to try to help somebody else. And the reason that I try to help somebody else is so I can stay clean. So the motive is not always giving. The motive sometimes is that I want to freaking stay clean, you know? So that's just some of the things that go through my mind as I stand here, and I'm really nervous about sharing, you know? I have a responsibility to do that today. I think I have had characteristics of being an addict long before I picked up drugs. I was always felt out of place and different. I was I'll just say it, I was a fat kid who was insecure and always felt like I needed to manipulate people. And how I knew that, I don't know. But as a young kid, I felt like I was very smart in trying to manipulate people into loving me. And didn't feel secure in myself. And as I tried to manipulate people into loving me, there's no self-esteem built on that. So if people didn't show that they loved me, then there was something wrong with me. So that's the way that I grew up. I remember some specific things about my childhood that show me today that I was truly an addict before I ever picked up with addiction. And this is a program about addiction, not just about drug addiction. So I'm thankful that we have that in the program of Narcotics Anonymous, where I don't have to say I'm only addicted to a specific drug. I have the disease of addiction, which takes over all of my life if I act on that in any way. But I remember when I was a kid, I had stole some money from my brother, and I maybe was 6 or 7. Stealing money, you know, why does a kid 6 or 7 need to steal money from, it was like $50, you know, I'd never seen a $50 bill. But he had one in his wallet, and I stole it. And what I did at that age was try to help my mother look for it. So if that's not, and she knew I had taken it as I look back at it, but I knew that if I helped her look for it, you know how us addicts are, that they won't think I took it. So, I remember the first time I used drugs, I thought that was the answer to my life. I could just be myself with whoever I was with. It didn't matter if the group were the A students. It didn't matter if they were the flunkies. I could be whatever I needed to be involved in that group. And drugs helped me do that. I don't remember ever having fun using. I only remember that that's something that I had to do. And I don't know if that is, you know, I hear people say it stopped being fun a long time ago. Well, I don't remember it ever being fun. It was always something that I used to not feel. And I'm sure that I had fun sometimes, but it was just always something that I used to not feel and to fit in. And then later on, I mean, it didn't matter if I fit in. I just wanted to isolate and use by myself, and I didn't need people around me. But I always hesitate on how much I need to qualify myself that way. But you know, I couldn't stop once I started. I tried to get clean once in November of 1987. I made a feeble attempt to kill myself, which I look back now, it was simply a cry for help. I went to the cemetery, got drunk, and cut my wrists. And then went to the phone to call somebody to tell them what I did. So I wanted to be saved, and I didn't know how to ask anybody to save me, you know. I grew up in a middle-class home, a single parent. I don't know how she did it. A twin brother, an older brother, and an older sister, and a school teacher's salary, and she raised us, and she did the best she could. So I didn't grow up on the streets, and I didn't grow up, needing anything except that I always watched my mother work very hard, and I always felt responsible for that. You know, this is a self-centered disease, and I'm responsible for everything that goes on in my family, right? So when she had to struggle with life and paying the bills and stuff like that, well, I felt like I was responsible for that. And now I see how self-centered that is. You know, I was a kid. I wasn't responsible. But I grew up in a middle-class home and single parent. She got married one time. I was also responsible for that divorce because she got married because she had kids and we needed a father. So you can see how the thinking is just totally warped, you know? For me, there's no room for any serenity, any gratitude, any of these spiritual principles that we learn in here whenever all that I think about is that I'm responsible for everything that goes on in the people's lives that I love. Now, I do have a responsibility today, but it's not the same, you know, as it was then. So I tried to get clean in 1987, went to treatment. And back then, if you had insurance, you could stay a long time. I was there for 6 months or so, and good gosh, that protected me from a lot of things, but, you know, it made me feel really sick. So I stayed clean for a year, and that's when I met Donna, who died January of '07. She was my soulmate, my partner. She taught me so many things about life. But when I met her in the rooms, and I didn't wait for me to get any recovery or have any year clean like is suggested. I got in a relationship, and instead of continuing to use my sponsor, work the steps, I depended on her to be my self-esteem. And I think that's why it's suggested that we don't get in relationships until we have a year clean. I mean, I feel like a hypocrite sharing that in the fact that I would never give up what I got from that relationship. But if it's meant to be, I tell sponsees and I tell people, if it's meant to be, then after that year, when things have happened in recovery, then it will still happen. So I went back out for 5 years then, and thank goodness I lived. I very much believe this is a life and death program, life and death disease. Donna did not die. She did not die clean. And that's hard to admit and to say, because I want to take up for her. But I'm not responsible for her using, but I had some enabling. This is a family illness. And I feel sad that she died using, because I know the loneliness and the isolation when someone's using, and that they cannot be comfortable around people that love them the most. They cannot be comfortable with their higher power. They cannot say, I need help. It's just that constant misery of ways and means to get more and trying not to feel. And I'm sad that she felt that when she died. When I came in, I did not want anyone to touch me. I did not want anyone to hug me. If you shook my hand, that would be okay. But, you know, as many of us, as I've heard many people share, they did not want hugs. And I was one of those people. I feel an overwhelming sense of gratitude today that I want to hug people. And but when I came in, people told me that they would love me until I could love myself, and I thought, well, that's bull. You will not, you do not, and you don't even know me. And if you did know me, you really wouldn't. So, but these are the things that as I heard people share, eventually I came to believe. And they told me to go to 90 meetings in 90 days. And they told me to follow suggestions because I did not know how to live my life. And I did not know how to live my life. I did not know how to make any decisions about money. I did not know how to get my license back. I did not know how to stay clean. So when my higher power took away that desire to use in 1995, and I didn't wake up in the morning and think about using the first thing in the morning, that was a gift. That wasn't anything that I did. My higher power, these people took me to treatment. I wasn't getting high anymore. I was using, but I wasn't getting high anymore. But and they took me so I could stop. And in that process, I didn't have to struggle with wanting to use for a while. And I don't know, some people do. They struggle for a while wanting to use. And I'm so grateful that that was lifted from me when I went to treatment in 1995. There's such an overwhelming sense of love that I have for my higher power that began then. I'll never forget waking up and just not thinking about using the first thing. But I went through treatment and came back to Bluefield and began this recovery process by getting a sponsor, by doing the steps, starting to know that when they said in meetings that I had to try to give it away in order to keep it, you know, I didn't understand that, but I believed people when they told me. So I knew that if these people, I thought that a person that had like a year clean was like a god. I never thought I would get a year clean. And they had a year clean, and they were telling me some things to do. So I thought, well, I might listen. I started a routine of praying in the morning and thanking my higher power at night. And I believe that's so important, to start the routine, to start reading the meditation. Because when I don't want to do it, then it's automatic. So I had support, and this is such a we thing. I'm so grateful that people taught me how to live, you know. And sometimes, you know, I'm not a saint. You know, it's principles before personalities. Sometimes I learn things from people that I don't want to learn them from, or that remind me too much of myself. But for today, I know that that's all right if I don't like everybody. You know, people in here I need to love because this is life and death, and they need to have the same opportunity that I have. I began that routine, and it seems like it was just yesterday as I'm standing here. I had a sponsor. My sponsor quit going to meetings, and I became my own sponsor. And they tell me that when you have yourself as a sponsor, you have a fool for a sponsor. I think that's what they say. But there's a lot of room for sickness whenever that goes on. It means that I am places I don't want to be, that people in here tell me you don't need to be, like in my own head, by myself, with my own thoughts. And the rationalization and the denial, and, you know, when you go over a step with yourself, I mean, how's that healing? Well, I wrote that stuff down. Isn't that enough? But no, I think that it was around 5 years clean that I quit going to meetings. And I wouldn't suggest it to anybody, that's for darn sure, but I quit going to meetings, and that's just part of my story. Thank goodness I'm back in the rooms today, but I quit going to meetings, I think about 5 years clean, and for about 3 years I was out of meetings. And during this time, I'd had a lot of gifts of recovery. I had gone back to school. I was in the process of graduating from school. I said I would never go back to school once I quit this last time. But recovery gave me that gift, and I was able to go back and get my degree and have a career in the field that I want to have a career in. And I can't believe that today either. A responsible, productive member of society, you know. It reminds me that they say the only thing that I have to change is everything. I don't know. That's hard. That's hard to think of that. But that's what was happening in my life at the time. I was in school, and there's a lot of stuff being taught that this is a cult, or that this is something that you have to give up all your power because, you know, your higher power is in control and things like that. And I don't know that I believe that, but I believe it helped me deny that I needed to go to meetings. But what happened in my life was I had all the behavior of youth, and I was angry, quick to anger. I had been a violent person during my using, and I can say I became violent. I know that my anger in and of itself without hitting can be violent. I know that when I was growing up, I was very afraid of my father, and he didn't hit me, but it was violent the way he would interact, you know, with fear being the only thing that motivated. That was constantly the doom and gloom in the room when he was around, was fear. And my mom and him were not married, but he had addiction problems, he had mental health issues, and he also tried to commit suicide when I was a kid. And, you know, when you have that, as fear being the dominating factor in a relationship, you know, I said I'd never be like him, but I acted a lot like him. I was given the gift, even though I was still using when he died, that he had come to our house a couple times just to say hi and just to be there. And then he died not long after that. And I'm an adult now, and all those things and all those fears that I have and all that hate, I was able to build on that he was there and he could say that he loved me. So as I started recovery, I say this because that used to be the main thing that was the hardest thing to deal with in my life, was the abandonment I felt from my father. That was the hardest thing I had when I was a teenager, feeling unloved, and like that was a major thing. You know, if your father doesn't love you, then how can you be lovable and things like that. So that was the driving force and a lot of the emotions I felt. So as I got in recovery, the steps taught me that I could deal with that. And today, just for today, that's not an issue anymore. So that is growth, and I'm thankful for that. Whenever early in recovery, I heard someone share, and they were sharing about something difficult that they were dealing with. And I don't know, most of the stuff that I say, it's not an original thought. I think that I've probably heard it from other people more than once. But there's always going to be something more difficult to deal with. And I don't know if that's me being pessimistic, and I don't know if it's actually true, but there is always something else to have to deal with. I can learn things from people who I don't even know today, where I used to have to learn them on my own. I can learn that I can get through grief because people that I love have gotten through difficult grief. People that I don't know who share in a meeting about burying their children or their child, and they're getting through that grief one day at a time. You know, that makes me know that I can do it. I'd like to share what's happened in my life the last few years, because that's just where I'm at. And if I continue to share just the same stuff of initial recovery, I need to share about initial recovery, but I also need to share how I'm getting through life on life terms today. It was when I had 10 years clean that I found out I had Hep C. And I went through the treatment, and that about killed me. And it was right after the treatment that Sharon got sick and about died, that Donna died, and that I felt a total sense of desperation that I did not want to live anymore. And just those same feelings that I had before I'd gotten clean. If I didn't have the program, or if I didn't have people telling me I needed to keep it simple, I needed to go to meetings no matter what. People took me to meetings especially when I was during the treatment, when I couldn't get to meetings. They took me to meetings. Whenever I'm going through a desperate time or a time that feels hopeless to me, I know that the program teaches me that there is hope. And even though I don't feel it, I know that that hope will come back. I know that the gratitude will come back, even when I have to act as if for a little while. I knew very early on that gratitude was going to be a very important thing in recovery because people told me that. If I didn't have gratitude, then I might lose recovery. So gratitude is very important. But I also had to give myself permission to feel what I was feeling. And when I was angry and didn't want to live or wanted to kill somebody, I needed to say that and not be by myself at all, as far as with my thoughts that I thought were crazy. So in going through difficult times, going to meetings like I did when I was new in recovery saved me. Listening to the readings like I was new in recovery saved me. Reading the literature like I was new in recovery saved me. And I don't think this is the last time I'll have to do that. I've dealt with being sick and with Donna dying, and with my mother-in-law dying 6 months after that, and my brother-in-law dying a month after that. And this family is just like my family. I've been involved with them for 19 years. So I don't want to minimize that these people were important in my life so I can go through the pain. When I'm sharing with my sponsor about Patty dying on Friday, she says, make sure that you let yourself feel. And my old behavior, I don't want to feel. I don't want to feel. But all I have to do in order to get out of that is let somebody know that and not be alone in it. I've had, my higher power has been in control of my life, especially since going through the treatment. What I had to do when I was going through the Hep C treatment, and my family was scared and Donna was scared, I had to write things to my disease. I had to write about it. I had to say that it was not going to win. I had to let my anger out about this thing controlling me. I had a separation from Donna once when she was using, and I had to write about that too. I had to do a 4th step on that. And I had to share about it with my sponsor. These steps apply to every situation in my life. So even when I feel like it's not going to be any use, and I go through the motions of it, and I get surrender and relief, it's just amazing. My higher power is in control of my life. As I develop a relationship with my higher power that began with step 2, I realized my higher power has a sense of humor. Where I'm living now, the first time I went through that town, I said I could never live here, you know. Because it was Christmas time, and it looked like the perfect little Ozzie and Harriet world. They all had the Christmas lights up and, you know, just this real conformity feeling. And I told my sponsor I could never live here. And there I am living there, which I'm grateful for because it feels like where I need to be. And if I didn't have that trust that I learned, especially through step 2 and step 11, then I would not have been comfortable giving my will over and trusting in step 3 that that's where I was supposed to be. My higher power also has a sense of humor. When I feel like I'm this, in my recovery, I've had times where I just felt totally serene and at ease with me and with the world. And it could be that it had been arrogance. It could be that I needed a reminder, but it seems like sometimes when I felt that way, a truck will pull out in front of me. Or something will happen that tells me my higher power has a sense of humor, you know? My higher power also does things for me that I can't do for myself. I had been in a job that I was not happy with for a long time. And a few months after Donna died, I got laid off from that job. And I had to go on unemployment. And I have a lot of fear about money. I think it's going to run out. I think I'm not going to be able to support myself. And for me to be able to get unemployment and manage my life on unemployment was only my higher power working. I was moved to a town in Draper, Virginia, never had moved from West Virginia, and I wasn't at home there. But now I feel at home where I'm at. I think that home groups are so important because it's where people know me and it's where I trust to say my stuff. So when I moved to this town, and I had been in this home group in Bluefield forever, and plus my family, some of my family's there, it was very hard to find a home group. I know that I'm at home anywhere there's an NA meeting, but there are little differences in meetings. And sometimes it's those small things that get me more than anything. So these small things of possibly saying the Serenity Prayer with I and not we, or closing a meeting with just one prayer, not having a choice for 3 like we did in our home group, and just small things that I noticed, really, I looked at the differences and not the similarities. And one of the things that I also taught new in recovery was you need to look at the similarities and not the differences, because as I've said growing up, I always felt different. So, when I'm in a crisis or I'm in a situation, then I'm going to start looking at the differences. But I say this is such a God thing because where I'm at now, I found a home group that I feel comfortable with. Where I was 6 months in this other town and I could not find a home group I felt comfortable with. So all this stuff that happens in my life, my relationship with my higher power, one of the most important things I believe recovery has for me, it just keeps building. I've had some, like I said, I got suicidal, I felt homicidal. I also had some mental health issues since the treatment and since the grieving and stuff in my life. So that's an outside issue, but it has to do with my recovery. So these things that I'm able to go through one day at a time helps me build a trust in my higher power. Like my higher power, I feel like is my friend today, and I've had a higher power since I began that process of praying, even though I didn't believe, but it's continually changing. And for today, I know that my higher power is someone that I can trust. And I won't say I'm an equal to that higher power, but I'm a friend because I make mistakes, and my higher power carries me through them, even when I turn my back on my higher power. Even when I'm angry and blame my higher power for things in my life, I get through them clean anyways, and that just builds that trust. I have my sponsor who I've had for, 6 months, 8 months. The sponsor that I did have quit going to meetings, and I love her to death. She was my sponsor originally in '87, and then again later on. But I needed a sponsor in recovery, and there my higher power led me to a meeting of a friend that was celebrating 5 years. And this was this lady that shared, and I got her number, and there I am with a sponsor that is working an NA program that teaches me that I trust. I was on step 9, not for the first time, but I was on step 9 when Donna died, and Patty listened to my 8th step after Donna died. I borrowed Patty as a sponsor because my sponsor was sick. And Patty's soul, you know, she was not judgmental, even though when I say that, I know that I have to make judgments about people in order to know whether I can hang around them, if they're a winner, if they're working a program. And this program teaches me not to judge, but it also teaches me to make better decisions in my life. So I have to weigh things. So Patty never made me feel uncomfortable about anything. She wasn't my sponsor, but she listened to my step. Things that I've also been taught by people who maybe weren't clean is the unconditional love. My partner showed me unconditional love, no matter what. And I always thought love was conditional. And I'm thankful to have had those people in my life, and I hope that I will be open to other people in my life that way. Just for today, I am. I know that I can very quickly get closed-minded and resentful, and I feel that old feeling of I'd like to put my hand through the window, or I get angry over something simple, and I have to take a deep breath, and I have to share it with somebody. But just for this moment, and just for being here at Cedar Lakes for this convention, I'm overwhelmed with gratitude, and I don't have to feel that right now. But people like Patty and people like Sharon and Beverly, Becky, people that share about pain in their life, even though it hurts them to share it, I'm truly grateful for. I wouldn't have any recovery if they didn't do that. I was sharing with somebody yesterday about people visiting us in different ways, like butterflies that come around, and that feeling that we have in our heart at certain times, and that thought we have of the person that's not with us. That's my higher power letting me visit with that person. And I'm thankful to be aware of some of that today, and I know by what this program says that it's a process that I can become even more aware, and that excites me right now. I can tell you that for 13, 14 months after Donna died, which is the most significant thing in my life, as you all can tell, that I've been constantly going back to, I have no gratitude, and it's just the last month or so that gratitude has come back as far as not having to act as if, and that overwhelms me. It's easy to get it right here, but I've been here and not felt it too when I've been sick with the treatment or right after Donna died. I've been here and not felt gratitude. And that's possible. So I'm grateful to have that today. And it's only through you all. If you don't feel special, keep coming back. And I know that sounds corny, but it's true. I can't, but we can is so true. It doesn't mean that I don't want to stay in my own misery whenever something happens. I want to keep it to myself. Recently, somebody I was close to relapsed, and I didn't call my sponsor for a couple days. So I was really miserable for a couple days. And the only thing I needed to do to get in the solution was call my sponsor. And when I finally did that, I was in the solution, and my mind was clear. And I could finish writing on the step I was on. You know, where I couldn't even write about the situation. I've been taught to write about it, to pray about it. My mind was so cluttered with the fact that I might lose this person because they decided to use, that I couldn't do anything. And I chose to be by myself with that for a couple days before I called my sponsor. So all this stuff that I'm sharing about, it's just my process and my experience. It doesn't mean that I do it immediately. It doesn't mean that anything in my life is perfect. It just means that right now I'm grateful for where I'm at, and I'm right where I'm supposed to be. And that's the most, one of the most beautiful things that recovery gives me, is I don't have to think, well, when I make this amount of money, then everything's going to be all right. Or when I have this person in my life or this thing in my life, then everything's going to be all right. Right now, I have the security of the unconditional love of the fellowship, and I know that everything can be all right now. The meditation just for today, for January 4th, the date that Donna died, has secure in the love of the fellowship. I can look people in the eye today. And that just sticks with me. And it's not just looking people in the eye. Secure in the love of the fellowship, I can do whatever is best for me today. It might not be what I want or what I think that I need, but it will be best if I get out of the way. And I believe so much when I hear people share about they are not going to be given more than they can handle, and they're not going to be put in a situation where they're aware of anything about themselves if that's not the time for them to work on it. The things that I'm aware of about myself today, I couldn't have been aware of it when I came in here. All I could do when I come in here is deal with the abandonment issues of my childhood. But now, there's other things that I have to be aware of. And there's other things for me to have to change about my life. So I do not know what's in store. I know that ever since I found out I was sharing today, back in the fall, I was, it was just hard to think about. And Patty would talk with me about it, and she told me to make sure I got her a CD, and now she's not here, and that sucks. And so, who knows who we will be seeing next year or next fall? Who knows this? I have fear in my life, and I don't know. I know that fear, I've heard, means I don't have faith. And I don't know that today. I know I'm going to have fear, but am I going to have the courage to go through the fear with my higher power? Because I don't think I'm ever going to be without fear. And that may change. I may feel differently later on. I don't know. But today I have fear. I can't go into a meeting without my phone. It's on silent, but I was in a meeting when my mother-in-law died, and I did not get the message because I didn't have my phone. I'm afraid somebody's going to die and I won't get the phone call. So I'm afraid when anybody goes to the doctor, I think, well, something's going to happen and they're going to leave. They're going to die. So I have to share about that. And, my sponsor went to the doctor the other day. She thought it was one day and it wasn't, so I didn't hear back from her, and I just knew she had heard she was going to die. But, that's not going to stay that way. Because you all tell me it won't. And I believe it now. There's sometimes I don't believe these things, but I believe it right now. But it won't change if I deny it. It won't change if I act like it doesn't exist in me. So, I have to be here, and I have to be responsible. And I have to walk through the things that I'm walking through, secure in the love of the fellowship, And I feel like, you all have saved my life, and I know that I'm supposed to be doing this to give, but, like I said, I receive too, and I'm thankful that you all are here to listen. I'm thankful that you all love me until I could love myself, even though it's different faces, So I'm definitely at an ending point. I just want to tell you I love you again. Thank y'all.